So we're live now.
Okay. So what do you think it means that all people are entitled to their own opinions, but not to their own facts? I thought that was an interesting question.
That is interesting. I thought that, well, I don't know, it is what it says, right? Like we can all have our own life experiences and we can interpret real facts the way we want to, but facts are facts and they shouldn't be skewed.
I agree.
Yeah.
Do you have any other thoughts, Julia?
Yeah, so I put the same, we cannot make up facts to back up our opinion or to justify our position in a specific topic, because the facts, are things that they were researched. So after, they are presented, that's what it is. There is no other stuff. So we cannot just because we think strongly about something, we can just say like, oh, these are the facts because I strongly believe on that. So that must be true or something.
Yeah, I agree. It made me think of how it talked about how they did, sorry guys, let me see if I can remember. They did a test about the consequences of same-gender marriage on children, but they did it in such a skewed way. Do you guys remember reading about that? How they only took like Caucasian wealthy women and compared it against, I don't know, like single parents or whatever. And it was such a small group and it was, so skewed. But the American Psychological Association or whatever took that research and used it and things like that. And so I just think it's important, I don't know, that those are their own facts, but those aren't real facts. Those are more just their own opinions. And so I liked this week really thinking about good research and what are true facts, like what are actually facts that have been proven and what are just opinionated facts. And so I don't know, I'm a sucker. I'm easily swayed by things. And so it's been really good for me this week to think about how important it is to check sources and to check like, where they got their data instead of just going, oh, wow, that's interesting.
I think, oh, go ahead, Julia.
I was just like so surprised with the other video for the AIDS, how like manipulative and tricky, and a worse word for tricky, how they put like under the kids, use the kids, like, go talk about AIDS and how it affected you without your mom and your dad, and we're just gonna like put about like same sex couples or let that that you support like the promiscuity pretty much, it's like that is okay in order to prevent AIDS is is better to have all this like sexual stuff, like pretty much it's just promiscuity. Like how like can they do that? It's like they put in like as if those were like they're fact for something else, for their like behavior and all that, but it's not like facts for their opinions or for what it was like trying to do, prevent AIDS. It's like, how can you do that? It was so like incredible that professionals are doing that just to promote their own agenda. It's like sad, using little kids or like other officials and just like trying to like put their stuff in there. It's like, how can you do that?
Yeah,
I agree. It's interesting because a lot of times people will combat like the church policies on things with statistics that aren't real or they're skewed or whatever. But the interesting thing is the church actually does a lot of their own research. A lot of the youth programs that we have, the changing the missionary age, the all kinds of policies, they actually do a lot of research. And then they obviously still pray about it, but you can use research in a positive way to really build knowledge. And a lot of times when people attack the church, they do it as, oh, well, everything they do, they're just uninformed. They pray about it, they think they know everything, and that's it. They're really not uninformed. They do the correct research, and then they use those to make decisions.
Yeah.
So there's good ways to do it.
Yeah, that was funny. I don't know if you remember a few like years ago they leak a video about how the church conduct their business. And like you said, yeah, they present information, research, like they do their responsible duty, and people were like trying to find something bad about it. It's like, yeah, what does that prove? That they're well informed, that they're, giving the information right? Like, what is wrong with that? That
We're
was just
supposed to
like
Yeah.
search things
funny.
out. Yeah.
What was that?
We're supposed to search things out on our own. Anyway, so I think that it's just sad to me that so much research is presented in a way that makes it hard then to believe any research. But there really is a lot of good stuff out there.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, let's see. Why can statements that begin with "I've heard" or they say be so dangerous when articulating your point?
Oh, yeah, because you don't know how you can influence other people. Just like we were talking about last week. Like that different systems, how they have an important influence in kids. You can also influence other people that are easy persuade. So you just, or especially, if you're a leader in the church, like for the youth, for example, and you said they say, or, it's my opinion. And the youth may think like, well, she may know because she's my leader, or, they trust you and they will believe you. And just because you have a strong opinion, you should not just, put it out there in like this kind of positions or organizations. So we have to just be careful that whatever we say, we really like know where it's coming from, instead of like, oh, because it's common knowledge or it's in the news a lot, or that we really go deeper and find the source, like, is this real or it's just because everybody's talking about.
Yeah. That's a good point that you bring up, that other people might be impressionable. We need to be careful what we say. And then I just thought of, I know people who will say that, like they say whatever, and they make things up. And sometimes I'll call them on it. I'll be like, where did you hear that? And sometimes they're right, and sometimes they're not. And so then I feel like then I'm always researching things all the time. Like, is that true? And so then I feel like I doubt everything because I don't know when people are being honest with me. And I don't know, it's sad. But then I feel like unless I have all the hard facts, I can't say anything. So there's got to be a middle ground there of we can share our opinion without stating it as this is fact. Especially like you said with the youth, that's a big deal.
Yeah. Or even the kids too, because we in primary, we have so many different organizations. Or even like I find in our Sunday classes, sometimes the teachers say, like, this is my personal opinion. That's what I believe. And even though I don't think that they should be saying that, because it's, that there are facts for, to back up whatever she's teaching. She doesn't have to bring her opinion on that.
Right.
Because, we have enough evidence or research or scriptures or all of that.
Absolutely. I agree. I actually saw hopefully Rochelle will come back. I saw a cute idea for family home evening, like with older kids, where you just give them a topic and say, okay, we're going to search in the Bible, or we're going to search in the hymns, or we're going to search in like specific doctrinal text to find the answers. And I thought that was a good way to get the kids to, on their own, to learn how to research things like, what are the facts about this? What has the Lord already said about it? And I think that needs to be more prevalent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. Like, I heard somebody say, or it was also in the text, like, who are they? They say, like, who are they? Like, who knows those people? What are you referring to?
Yeah, that is funny.
It's funny that my husband said that his dad does that statistics, the 80% and this 50%, and he like, I don't know where he gets his statistics.
Where are those numbers coming from?
Or if he just like makes it up on his mind and like give them out like nothing, or like he's hearing the news and they think like, oh, it's true, so now because they hear it, like, I'm gonna say it. Just like follow the thing. And it's sad because, like also the news that you feel that you can trust is all manipulated by,
Dude, I
different.
have a hard time even watching the news. I'm like, really? Are they being honest? And I feel like they just say whatever they want to say to get ratings, to get people to watch, to be sensational. I'm like, that's not news. That's what's the word? Not news, and there's a difference. And so I don't. It's hard when you can't believe what's really out there anymore.
Yeah.
So
I think that this class is good, that we're learning, how we can, like, we won't be able to avoid everything, but at least try to look, how to look for the truth.
yeah,
Do our best at least.
absolutely. So the next one is let's see. I don't know if she read this one. This is the second one. So far, we have learned the importance of having the doctrine in our hearts. Why do you think it's also important to have good science in our minds and mouths? I think we kind of talked about that. The next one is the myth of the gender wage gap. Does the author fairly present all perspectives? Hold on just a minute.
Well, when do you even have this?
Hold on. I thought she did a good job presenting the difference on the gender wage gap, that there's a lot of things to consider. What people choose to do, how many hours they work, what education they have, how much time they take off, all of those things. I thought those were interesting points, and she was able to present both sides.
Yeah, I think that it should, the good feminist movement. I like that, the final chat that it says good feminist movement should be based on solid research and not by hysteria and hype.
Yeah.
And yeah, like the point that she makes, like I feel sometimes that, like, oh, I thought about that. So when I hear something that, like people professional thinking about that, like, oh, that's, like, I wasn't like that wrong, or that, like that, like things like that, like we're a woman, but it doesn't make me be blind and see that, we are emotional, we, have our maternal instinct, we want to be with our families, all those things. Yeah, it makes us in a way, like not being fair to guys too. They say, okay, if I don't take time out like you take, if I'm like always here, if I have less not risk, but like it's different, like our way that are working and they were working, they probably offer more, so it's also fair that they should have a, like a better wage if they are working more. I mean, if the woman is working, probably she doesn't have a family and, works as hard and invests the same time, energy, then yeah, she should be paid the same. But if it's like, she asked for specific, stuff, what I would say, like exceptions, she cannot expect to get the same, because also it's not fair for the guy, for the man. So yeah, she took so many, she makes so many like different explain or touch many points that justify, the different points that she has. So I think, yeah, she covered them all.
And I agree with that. Like, even though I mostly work from home, if I get called into the office for something, like there's a meeting that I need to go to and I already have an appointment, like a child doctor's appointment, I can say I already have an appointment with my kids on that day, and they understand. Whereas my husband, even though he works for the same company, he's in a much higher position. Like, I don't work under him, but he's just in a management position. And so for him, he doesn't have that flexibility. Like, they expect him, nope, you got to be here. And there are women that are at his same level and they get the same pay and they expect her to be there all the time. Like, so there's a difference in, I don't know, sometimes he feels like as a man, he's like, why don't I get like the video of the men are discriminated against. He's like, why don't I get the same flexibility? Like, if it's my kid too, like if I want to take them to the doctor or if I need to stay home to do something for them, why don't I have that same flexibility that you do? So I think it goes both ways.
Yeah, it has to.
Okay. Let's see. She discusses alternative interpretations, so we talked about that. Feminism 2.0 video. What sources is the author using? I don't know if I watched that one. What's the Feminism 2.0 video?
That was an optional video, so since I saw that there was a question, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna watch it now.
Oh, I read the questions. I didn't watch that one.
Yeah, and yeah, because I was like, okay, I need to see if she is using sources or not. So I wrote that she used, like, quote, one of studies for a journal of personality and social psychology, and an author named George Orwell is a social critic. They're supposed to be an expert in the field about what she's talking about. So that's what I, the sources that she's, like, she has a strong opinions. I was looking for more data. I mean, she had, for me, like, oh yeah, you have, good points, but she needed more sources, for my opinion, when she's like, oh, this is what happens, or like the causes, or why she thinks this or that she should back up a little bit more, because the statistics or this study, or I just saw those two sources. So I think she needed to have more sources, but I guess that's not a question. It's just asking for what sources is the author using.
But you didn't feel like they were enough or credible enough.
Well, the two that she used, well, the study, it is, but the other is just an author and social critic. So I guess I need to know if it's, good critic or a credible. I didn't go into that, like, search the guy and see what, what's his reputation, that. But I think a little bit more statistics and all that, more sources. So.
That's interesting. Yeah, because George Orwell, he wrote 1984. Have you ever read that?
No. I never heard of him before. So
he talks about how, like, the government, like, will take over our lives, basically, and like what we're allowing the government to do. And it's an interesting book, but it really is his opinion. And he wrote it a long time ago. He wrote it on this is what he thinks will happen, and it's worth listening to and it's worth considering, but it's not fact. So that's interesting that she quotes that as a source, because it's just his opinion, just like and it's an educated opinion, but it's not fact.
There you go.
So I think most of the other questions have to do with that video.
Yeah. Just,
so go ahead. How does she support her argument, or was it persuasive? We kind of talked about that.
Yeah, it's the way she presented, like, it makes sense. Like, you think, like, oh yeah, that makes sense. It's, I think, like, she used a lot of logic and things that make sense to present her argument. And because of some things that she talks about, I already, like, have the same point of view, so it's easy for her, like, me to be persuaded to, like, agree with her.
Right.
Since, like, oh yeah, I agree with that, like, and she believes so, like, oh, she even more. Yeah, like, but I feel like, I'm persuaded because I think the same, but I have never really done my due diligence to research on my own opinions. So even though if it's persuasive, I don't know if it's credible. Just like,
right.
I don't know if I'm, like, I cannot just say, like, oh, because I believe on this, like, this is true, and
right.
make other people think that is fact, or that's. I mean, it's I do support her argument just because I agree, but I wouldn't support it, like, to be something like official, or because it doesn't have the I haven't investigated all the data and all the resources, so and that, I would say no, that's I.
Rochelle, we're talking about the Feminism 2.0 video. Did you watch that one? That was the optional one. I didn't watch it.
Oh, yeah. And I'm so sorry, my computer just crashed and had to restart everything. So, let's see if I remember right. She's talking about the new feminism.
No, that's the second one.
The Feminism 2.0, where she's talking about the 3 pillars, like dignity, men. Is that?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Did you watch that, Julia?
Yes.
Sorry.
But I don't know what sources she's using.
I'm sorry.
Did it say what sources? Did it say what sources she was using?
Yeah, I check again just to look at the sources, and I was talking to Melissa that I only saw one source, like the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, and she also quote another author, George Orwell.
Oh yeah.
I was talking to me about him, and I was telling her that I haven't heard about him, but she mentioned something about him that not very credible because he usually talks about his opinions. So,
okay.
And we talk about the other one. I'm sorry.
Was it persuasive to you? Did you agree with what she was saying?
I was telling Melissa that because I share a lot of the same point of view that she has. It was easily persuade, for me, because like, oh, I agree. So now, you're talking about the same thing that I, agree with. So it's even more persuasive, like, in that sense. But if I, like, if I was to do my due diligence, then I don't think that with the sources that she provided, like, I don't know, you're just calling a social critic and you only have one source for one of your arguments, so you don't have enough sources for me to be persuaded. If I was, now like a really, advocate and, like a good researcher, then probably not. But just as her opinion and my opinion on that side.
I felt the same way. I was like, yeah, this is great. But then when I read the question, I'm like, oh, I don't know what sources she's using. I don't know how she's supporting her argument. But I thought it was good. Yeah, I like that Prager University or whatever it is called.
Yeah, I like them too.
Glad they're speaking up.
Yeah, I feel like overall they do a good job presenting a lot of data that I go, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and I like that there's a conservative voice that's done logically. Just, I don't know. Others can hear it. So, well, I'm sorry that I missed all the rest of it. I won't keep you guys longer. I'll just type up mine and stick them on the board. So if the teacher wants to.
You didn't really miss much. You're fine.
Okay.
Yeah, we only two. I'm sorry.
Oh, I just said it's kind of a weird day, only having 3 of us and having it be so short.
Yeah. Well, it's a good thing that we started because Sydney never joined us.
Yeah, it's good we did it late.
Yeah. So do you want me to do the summary now?
Sure. Thanks, Julia.
Okay. So first we talk at the beginning about the importance of not making our own facts for our opinions, because we can influence other people. Like I talk about the different positions in the church or leadership positions. We're supposed to be serving, not just influence, like giving our own opinions. And in how that has affected also in the media, because, like they just give news, and sometimes they make up their own facts to back up those news, but they're not really credible. So we talk about the that they say, so that we have to be careful with that, because like also who are they? But not like more like we have to be careful not to just follow what other people we hear from other people, but always go to the source now that we're learning about this. We talk about the myth of gender wave gap video, and that we agree that she presented her points. She covers. It says if she represented all the perspective, and we agree that she does. Present the different perspective of why it should be a gender gap and how it's fair. And we discussed the feminist video, and we just said that like she has a good points of view, but she needs a little more research or credible sources to really persuade people that are like more prepared in that aspect. Otherwise, if we wouldn't be like probably learning this class, then we would just be persuaded by her own opinions, even though we didn't even like see that the sources are not as strong as they should. So, and I think that's all that we cover in a general view.
Thank you, Julia. That was good.
Yeah, that was perfect. Well, thank you, ladies, so much. Does this time still work for you guys next week?
It does for me, but I don't know if it does for everybody else. So
I think like the other two were sick, but
Oh.
and Cindy, it was, I don't know what happened with her tutorial, but it was from 9 to 10, so
yeah.
Okay.
All right. See you ladies next week.
okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye.